Well, we're into it. Silver Scrapes, 5th game of the series, Fnatic versus Singularity, and Singularity have got to mental reset. They have got to pick themselves back up. They would have been going into game 3, 1 game away from European Masters, 1 game away from creating Northern Europe League history by eliminating Fnatic before they even made it to finals, and they dropped the ball. They've got to pick that ball up, got to get themselves back on the saddle and get into game 5 draft.
You know, I'm going to say Singularity, we're sort of feeling a little bit upset that this wasn't a best of 3 like it was last season, because they'd have been clean sailing. And now they're in this difficult position where the momentum is in favor of Fnatic Rising. And Singularity have had 2 games in a row where they've been like, okay, this has been the problem, this has been the problem. It gives them that window to adapt. They still have side selection, but we did just see them lose on blue side, so it's not like a surefire thing. And again, it's tough to take yourself out of this hole where, you know, it's been 2 whole games since you've even been able to destroy a Nexus, and you kind of just focused on what can we do. But Singularity, you kind of just have to put all that behind you. It's a best of 1 now. They get everything that has to happen in the series and just focus on this one in front of you. Have your draft plan, have your game plan, and don't get caught up in the mistakes of the previous games.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on Pride, honestly, for Fnatic Rising. I think in their wins, he's been huge. He's been really, really impactful. Different style of champions that he's played as well. Like his Mundo game was great. That Kennen game just now was really good too. And I think when you're on red side as well, you can play towards getting him a good matchup. And I think that could be quite important in this game number 5. Basically a best of 1 at this point now. Do or die for both teams. Whoever wins this one goes to E-Masters, goes to the finals. And the loser won't getting any of that lovely stuff. It's going to be a Sejuani first pick for Team Singularity. Pretty strong, actually, honestly, the Sejuani, specifically when paired up with the Aurelia. We'll see if Fnatic want to take that away or not.
Interesting, they end up opting for the Skarner, which we haven't really seen. So clearly got a plan here to some degree. Obviously, that ult has a lot of power and sort of locking down a target. A really good champion in terms of momentum, because if you get ahead and the enemy team has to invest in QSS to shut you down, they're spending gold that they don't really have to afford that. And, you know, this Ezreal pick, it's not got the same strength as Felios in terms of that backline threat, but it's a safe pick for Bean that he can definitely reliably carry on. And Singularity, they're going for that Braum. So this is a really strong duo we used to see way back in the day. But Sejuani Braum just meant, like, in any skirmishes and any team fights, you have great single target CC. You know, you lock down a target with one passive, they get locked down with the other passive, you go from one to another, and it's very effective in that regard. I do think if they're going to pick the Aurelia, it kind of has to be here if they want to secure that with the Sejuani, but we'll see if they want to go for something different.
Ooh, and it's the Tristana that gets locked in now. So Singularity shifting gear a little bit, changing things up for game 5. As you mentioned, Orc, they've got a very strong frontline combination with plenty of single target CC to bring to these teamfight situations. Skarner being locked in is, I think, you know, rather interesting. Obviously, you have to play QSS tax to him if you don't want to be caught out, but you know, there are not many great easy targets to lock down, especially with Tristana, who's so mobile. It can be a little bit more difficult to Skarner to find those opportunities. Rakan comes through, though, so a very, very safe bot lane in the form of the Ezreal Rakan. And so Fnatic Rising, you know, not expecting to get a huge amount of priority bot, but they're also probably not going to be easy to take out either.
Yeah, something I really like about Rakan with Skarner is like Skarner runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour straight forward into your team, and Rakan can jump onto the Skarner and then from that set up and engage as well. So it's like you can tag a priority target with the Skarner and then just create all hell with the engage with the Rakan follow-up as well. Still going to get that Aurelia ban coming through, as you mentioned, Orcs. Like, if you didn't pick it on that 3, then you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that combo anymore. And I think, honestly, this would be a part to reflect upon the draft. You know, after this game's all done, is like Singularity opted into this. They opted into the Tristana for that 3rd pick, not the Aurelia. That could be a key point moving forward. And I mentioned the Pride. You know, he's been doing really well. That is the Kennen ban. Honestly, I think Kennen overall has been strong. Weisel's played it as well and has done pretty well on it too. But I have absolutely no quarrels with trying to pinch Pride out here and just limit what he can do this game.
I think a big factor as well with this Aurelia is that, like, it's not fun playing Aurelia into Skarner. Like, pre-QSS, you're just such a vulnerable target in that regard. And I think the Trist makes sense in the sense it's also a flex, right? It is also something that can go mid or bot lane, so they have that option. We do see things like the Kennen takeaway, which I think makes complete sense. And one thing I do want to note is I feel like the Sejuani Braum is actually pretty decent into the Skarner, simply because if he tries to pull someone away and you have the double passives locking him down, he's not going to get very far. So definitely deals well in that regard. We see the Twisted Fate band. Now, I think Fnatic Rising, based on how they've gone so far, I would have expected a mid pick here, something that can secure priority and sort of potentially lean up towards that top lane, play for Pride, who's had a good series. The Jace actually works as a flex, so it can go both ways in this situation, which means Singularity kept guessing in this regard. That being said, this is a very low AP comp for Fnatic Rising, so I think for that reason, we could end up seeing this Jace go top, and they pick an AP mid laner for the Yor.
The Singularity have now got to make their choices. As you mentioned, there is that flexibility of the Tristana that we've still got to see where exactly that could end up landing. It would be a big game for Fury to play Akali on, and I think if you're going to hand the reins to any particular player on Singularity to kind of do you justice when you need it, it is Fury, and he's going to, almost certainly be piloting this Akali in the mid lane. We'll see what. I actually don't mind Mundo here. I think Mundo is a pretty solid choice. Wouldn't have minded the Malphite too. I think Malphite or Mundo, but Fiora. Okay, I mean Vazor is a Fiora player, right? Vazor is one of those guys that likes to pilot Fiora. This is a big balls draft from Singularity. In like the game 5 of the series, you're picking two incredibly volatile solo laners.
I think maybe the thought process here is that with you're going up against the Jace, and Razor feels confident in that matchup because there's not that many AP top lane options with the Kenningon that we've seen Pride play. And if they go full AD against Sejuani Braum, who can both go anathemas anyway, you're just never dealing any damage. So he kind of knew the matchup. He kind of called Fnatic Rising out on their flex and knew that he was going to go top and gave that window. I think an interesting thing for me is the Akali, though. It's been nerfed on this patch, which is why we don't see it nearly as much anymore. But Fury did the same thing in their series against Riddle. It got to game 3, and he went towards that Akali as something he feels comfortable on. So pretty interesting. I think both teams, the drafts, kind of a little bit weird. I feel like there was like really clear strengths from the other drafts. This one's kind of developed a little bit differently. It feels like there's been a lot of a pushback towards comfort in this one. But for me, I think the solo lanes are such a pivotal part of this matchup. I don't think too much is going to happen bot lane. Just it's hard to set up an Ezreal Khan aren't really going to apply much pressure otherwise. So I think this final game will be 4 on the top side of the map.
Yeah, and I also just want to really put a highlight on the Skarner. Whenever you're playing 1-3-1, Skarner is so good at punishing that. Like he's like the king of picking people out of position, and you've got a lot of tools to do that on Fnatic.
Well, it is everything on the line right now for these two teams. The winner, quite literally, takes the European Master slot and that spot in finals. The loser, as Foxy said, essentially goes away with nothing. Let's see who wins. Let's see who takes that spot. Hip Rain and Jamada, take us away.
So all to play for here in game number 5 between Singularity and Fnatic as we go straight into a pause, unfortunately. So got a little bit more time for us to kind of prep and talk a little bit about this game. Desk seeming to think that this game's going to be played and won through topside. I'm inclined to believe and agree with them on that one. I think Wazel's actually the only person we've had pull out a hole breaker.
Yeah.
During this entire season, so, and that was during playoffs on this Fiora. So might just see some side lane Fiora coming out.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a potential option here for SNG, and again, in a way, maybe another curveball, right? The whole series so far, it's been about team fighting, right? Yeah. I think it can be very much underlined by saying this has been a series of two teams team fighting almost to the limit in games 1 and game 2. Now you've chucked a Fiora into the mix. And I feel like when we saw Wazel on this pick against Northern, it was used, yes, as also side lane pressure, but he was able to team fight into it. And I think, I look at this composition, this might be a comp where, you've got Braum, you've got Sejuani. Wazel might not be tied to a side lane, necessarily, in my opinion. I don't think he's necessarily chained to a side lane, like how typically a Fiora could be. We'll have to see, because again, it's like 2 bruisers, an Ezreal, yes, a full tank in what I'm expecting Maxi to be. You can team fight into that as Fiora when you've got this much setup on your side. And I do think that in terms of general agency for Fnatic, they're going to need level 6s until they can really get things going. I don't think the SNG, however, have, a crazy amount of, straight up setup in the early game outside of a few missteps from perhaps the solo laners, but I feel like the agency should definitely be on SNG's side. And game 5, Jake, all boils down to
85.
this. Like a scoundrel said, right? It's all or nothing, effectively.
I mean, it's now a best of one.
Yeah, it's a best of one.
It's a best of one, but you're all quite tired because you played 4 games before it. But it's a best of one at this point.
Yeah, and I think key things for SNG, if we're talking about what I would like to see them play towards, I think Dragdar's been a really big key in this series, and I would really like to see a return to him having the freedom to open up in some of these team fights. And I think when you're playing Tristana as well, yes, you've kind of got this pseudo dive between the Fiora and the Akali, and yes, Tristana can play that style too, but I really think you want to have Dragdar get as much freedom as possible. So I think playing towards him is going to be fine. Wazor picked this Fiora expecting Pride to be on this Jace, so I'm expecting him to be very confident and comfortable up there. And for Fnatic, looking at Bean, and I'm saying, all right, you've had loads of pop-off games tonight in this series. I think if you're Fnatic, you're definitely putting your eggs in the Bean basket. But he's not on the Aphelios this time around. I think this is the first time Ezreal in this series, unless I'm forgetting game 1.
It is indeed.
So it's a slightly different look.
We're seeing him getting shoved in early as well. Dragged obviously on the Tristana, kind of the expected outcome of this particular lane. As mid lane, kind of chill at the moment. As Dalo used the E, so Fury takes his opportunity to trade onto him. Doesn't actually have level 3 yet, so can't hide within that shroud quite yet, but we'll hit it there. So that's now available. Kingslayer should be up for Dior, so I have that to work with. Talked a big game about top lane. We haven't actually had a look over there. We can see Pride is shoving Wazor in. Wazor's got a large wave to collect, though, so we have to be a little bit careful about taking a little bit of poke underneath this tower, but should be okay.
Yeah, and I think the more dangerous points are going to be about when like waves start to bounce back into Pride. I think one of the strong parts about this Fiora pick is it can negate a lot of what Skarner wants to do inside of the ganks as well. So potentially another reason for that, you know, you can always block away the stun auto. You know, predicting the suppression is a slightly different game, but there is a small audio cue. It's very tiny before that ultimate comes out, but it's, again, you know, when you're talking about online play, it's effectively as good as a prediction. So it's going to be very tough. Rux slides in, slides out, and again, that's why you see the Rakan into Braum. Not only does it give Fnatic Rising another in some of these mid-game fights, but
yeah,
it's very hard to trade back onto the Rakan. As you've seen the matchup a couple times now.
Well, looks like they're maybe sending Maxi in just to help shove Fury in this lane, just because Azure has no mana. Nolty's making his way over as well. They're going in. They're looking to try and stack everything up, but Pride also roamed over. So they are committing hard to make sure the Silas gets a reset off. And Fury just going to have to concede that pressure, unfortunately.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. Fnatic. Pride, actually in a window where he could have reset himself, uses it to come back down to the bottom side of the map so that he can allow his mid laner to reset. Noi thinking about either a straight up contest or maybe just a smite away. We'll have to see because Prosphere's here with him.
Braum Stage 1 is a really rough one as Winter's Bite actually gets blocked out by the crab and the smite go down. The 2-man knock up the follow as well, and Prosphere missed his Q, and that is going to cost Nolty his life. First blood picked up for Jor as Maxi jumps in forwards, and this is going to be the end of Prosphere as well. Bean secures the kill.
Yeah, Gromp blocks the Winter's Bite, and it means that that passive is not stacked up onto Maxi, and they can't find the chain CC, and without the chain CC, it gives Rux enough time to make it to his jungler. And that's an invade effectively just gone awry. Didn't have to go for the play. It's SNG that opted into it. Pride, not enough mana to knock back Wazor, yeah. So respecting the fact that, Wazor's got Ignite, don't forget. So Pride has to respect that and flash away. So at least something is going right here for SNG on the map. Wazor winning out on his topside matchup. Fury not too far behind in CS. Rather, they are not too far behind in CS and has a wave coming into him. So Fury winning out here. So the solo lane's going okay, and I mean the bottom side too, not terrible. It's just that Bean has
Dale.
Yeah,
Unlucky.
has the kill and the assist, and they are going to get forced off a little bit, but hits level 6 here. Not going to be too threatened, and can pick up a lot of this wave, though. You could tell Fury considering it, but not enough information. Not
I
enough
think
HP,
the fact that his
though.
ultimate was taken away as well.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
too threatening.
too risky at this point. He can outplay me.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note, you know, I think it's a game 3, or game 4 rather. It was a bit of a slow one, right? It was very... there was a particular game that was very slow in the early game. But what I'm trying to say is it's game 5 now, right? We've had 4 games
That
get
was
played.
game 3.
Yeah, I think it was game 3.
It was game.
You know, we're game 5 now, right? And this is effectively a best of 1 to go to EUM and go to finals for the NLC.
Absolutely.
I'm expecting it to not be too action-packed in the first 10 minutes. I think
Yeah,
both
I
of these
feel
teams...
like no team wants to risk anything at this point.
Yeah, albeit, yes, we did see the invade from SNG. I think, realistically, had enough information to work off to go for it. It just, execution wasn't quite there. Lockdown wasn't quite found. But outside of that, I don't know how much action we'll see.
I think it's going to be fairly chilled unless they do decide to jump in onto Pride. Weasel actually has that level 6 and can stack up the passive fairly quickly. It's going to take a whole bunch of damage from Pride, and Pride, he now knows what's happening. He's
Pride, no
jumping
flash.
in. They're looking for the lockdown. They're looking for the kill. They're going to be able to pick it up as well. Weasel not even tanking the tower. Nolty played that flawlessly. They get the plate. They get the heals, and Maxi, he's here with the Impale, but he's not going to be able to do anything to Weasel. Weasel's going to be able to shove another wave in and deny even harder. As Maxi, I wouldn't do it if I were you.
Yeah, I mean, Maxi did just pick up a lot of lane XP, actually. So Noi is going to be behind. Still doesn't have the ultimate available, whereas Maxi's level 7. So he's very, very far ahead of his counterpart. See if it ends up meaning anything as the game progresses. Fury could be the recipient of a gank here. Noi's in the area.
Yeah, looking
Will it
for
matter?
him, but he's been caught out. All of that CC's on, but they can't really do anything about it. Thanks to the Shroud, Fury able to survive, but he did get chunked out pretty heavily there, and this should afford Fnatic Rising the space to pick up the Rift Herald. I don't think there's going to be any contest coming out. If you look at the map as well, you can see the lane state's not quite there. Naughty now has crucially hit that level 6 mark, so Glacial Prison available to him.
And the window's closed. SNG can no longer go for that dive. The wave wasn't immediately there. That means that Noi can't just walk straight towards the tower and go for this dive onto Bean. As Fog of War pressure means they don't know whether Deor and Rux are making their way back. And now it's the only point of concern for Fnatic now, this Fiora lane. Because Pride, we saw how many waves he missed under that tower. It was, you know, yeah, I know, yeah.
That was
things
so
like that.
big brain by
just going to be
Weasel,
very,
actually.
very irritating. Yeah. Make sure that Pride doesn't even get the cannon. Crossfair going to dash out to safety so Impale doesn't come through. And I will say, realistically, I don't think anything is going to contest Weasel on the side. You know, the scaling just isn't there. A lot of the CC is relatively telegraphed, so you can riposte basically 95% of all of the CC, and worst comes to worst. If he feels like he needs a QSS for the Skarner armor, you can just get it at some point.
Absolutely can. Dejul did use the Abscon, but decided not to get jumped onto. So lucky for him, Fury decides not to pull that trigger, although did have Rux in the area, so maybe a bit of prior information may have played somewhat of a factor there, as the second plate gets picked up for Weasel in the side lane as well. So 4 minutes left on that one. And maybe able to get squeak out an additional plate. He's lucky as Dejul jumps in. I believe he actually used the perfect execution there. No, it was the Kingslayer dash, sorry.
Yeah,
so he still has the ulti.
And I think for me, if I'm SNG, being able to pick up this dragon could be a really big deal. I think it's one of two things. You try and contest this dragon, and you see whether you can steal it away without losing too much, and then that way, Weasel has a lot of time on the side lane to scale up. Or if Fnatic do prioritize this dragon, go and cross map top. Go and get Weasel even further ahead. One of the two right now, it looks like Noi hovering the top side, but you can see on the minimap, Pride, he's taking Crux. He doesn't even care right now. The lane could even be frozen. I'm not entirely sure. Yes, it's frozen. So Pride just isn't even going to step up. So Fnatic, they will pick up this dragon. And I think, crucially, it's going to be an Infernal or an Ocean. We'll see once Smite comes in.
Ocean.
Okay,
First one of the
so-
series.
Yeah, first one of the series. It'll be the only one of the series. And I think if you're SNG, probably happier to see an Ocean as opposed to an Infernal. I think an Infernal on a team like Fnatic Rising's draft can definitely give SNG a little more worry, but I think the way that SNG will likely play out some of the fights, the applications of Ocean Soul in this game, I don't think they're necessarily going to be there too much. I think there's going to be a lot of snap engages, a lot of burst. I think the only place where it might really affect somewhere is if Wazor's off on the side lane 1v1ing Dior. I think Dior just wanted to use the cooldown there of the perfect execution.
Yeah, I believe so. Fury not going to go for anything in response. Wazor's actually moved over, spots out Maxi here. Gets to slow down the ult's on, and they're looking for Maxi. Maxi flashes away, and ulti actually comes in with a chilling smite just to zone and scare Fnatic away. They've got a little bit of time left on that Rift Herald. Yeah. Fnatic have actually swapped up to the top side of the map. Fury jumps in, Pride's here, and Fury probably just going to slide straight back out. Is able to get away safely.
A chunk of damage on the way out, but like you say, out safely. But ultimate down just means another window for Fnatic to find something. Dragdar.
Oh no.
Yeah,
It's Wazor coming in,
with
he's
no
instantly
flash.
suppressed. They're looking to buy some time. The quickness is on. They've got the riposters as the longest explosive charge I've ever seen, but it doesn't matter. No one's going to get chunked too heavily here, and Fnatic able to kind of bully their way back into pressure here in the top lane. A bit of a questionable teleport by Wazor. Don't think he expected Dragdar to just ult Maxi away instantly.
Yeah, there was that. And also Naughty was actually on the way up to the top side. I think Dragdar a little more worried about getting ultimate, getting Skarner ultimate rather. You don't know what's going to happen to you during the duration of the suppress. Maybe you can get bursted down or not. Who's in what positions for Fnatic Rising. Maybe some jitters if you really want to read into it, but definitely I think the teleport certainly warranted. And I mean, at the end of the day, Dior also blew his teleport to make it up to that place. So is effectively just teleport for teleport. And Wazor will just return to the bottom side. Now, Pride does have teleport in his back pocket, so that is technically an advantage just because of where players are, but Fury also has his, so they can match each other if needs be. If Pride was to teleport away from the bottom side, he would give Wazor some time to hit on the towers. The plates are going to drop off though, so won't be as much gold so soon, but just certainly a bit of an uncomfortable position for Pride to be in on the side lane. I think right now, across the board though, items starting to slowly come in. Junglers both have their tank items. Maxi with the chem tank. Going to be able to walk a little faster and get on top of people like Dragdar as Dior.
You're getting jumped onto here. They can't get a final auto to lock him down with the permafrost, and he steals away the ulti as Maxi jumps in looking for a kill onto Dragdar, but can't even catch him with the crystal shard.
Yeah. Disengage tools are so strong between Prosphere and Dragdar, which makes it so difficult. But yeah, I mean, I really want to see SNG at this point. I feel like Fnatic just can't quite find their way in when they look for Dragdar and Prosphere. I need to see SNG punish right now. I think Fnatic are doing the right thing. They're pressuring the right side of the map.
Yeah. I think it's a weird one because I feel like Singularity are doing a great job of not being punished, but at the same time they're being punished for kind of not being punished because they're not doing anything in response. They know that this bot lane's safe. So, like you said, why aren't they cross-mapping? Why aren't they finding stuff? Now, part of that is, to be fair, Pride is playing very well on playing the weak side himself, but Fnatic are okay with not finding kills in these lanes if it allows them to pick up dragons, if it allows them to pick up Rift Elves. They've got 2 Rift Elves, 2 dragons. All the major objectives so far has been them because they are able to force Fnatic to weak side on that side of the map. Singularity, sorry, to weak side on that side of the map.
Yeah. So, slightly worrying, but I think, you know, when it comes to the big moments, SNG, when push comes to shove, they will be active, but right now it feels like Fnatic, they've just picked up every neutral objective. They've just kind of said, okay, no one's really contesting us for this, no one's contesting us for that. We'll just grab it. Right now, slowly but surely, items are coming in for all of the members of Fnatic Rising. And again, double tier, so once Bean and Pride hit those spikes, it's going to be very difficult. I have SNG power spikes on their items. Certainly no slouches either. Riftmaker for Akali is online, and he's level 11 Fury, so going to be very powerful. Herald dropped in the mid lane, so that's priority for Fnatic Rising, and something that SNG have to answer before they go towards this dragon.
I actually don't think they're going to get it in time either. The Rift Tower goes in for another charge, and that tower's now chunked heavily.
Fury.
Looking to see if they can make something happen here. Teleport's coming down, Pride's joining up. 5k health on the dragon. The Akali's on the flank. This is the big one. Can Fury make it work? The True Shot Barrage goes down. They find a clip. They find an opening. They find their opportunity. But there's no real follow-up. There's no damage they can land as the Sugar Fit lands onto Dayor. And it actually it's just Singularity. They have to give it up.
Just feels like right now, SNG are kind of just playing Fnatic's game.
It feels they're playing passive because they're worried about losing it, but they're playing too passive, and it will cost them if they don't do anything. You don't win games by sitting back. You win games by being proactive. They have Fury on a great flank there. They landed a bunch of ultimates on the team, but it wasn't quite right. They didn't have that quite right feeling, and you know, maybe it wasn't right. Maybe that would have been a really bad fight if they'd taken it, but that's now dragon number 3 picked up for Fnatic. And sure, like you said, an Inferno would be absolute worst case scenario for Singularity and best case scenario for Fnatic. Ocean Drake's still going to be perfectly fine by them. They'd be really happy to have that sustain. You know, they got poke, but if they take any poke, they'll be able to heal back up. Team fighting will be a lot easier for them. So Singularity now have to fight in 4 minutes. There is no ifs or buts. They have to fight in 4 minutes.
The question is, will they be ready? No, I don't think the gold difference interrupted.
Interrupt into the quickness. They can't get out as they get the Buster shot off, and that's going to be the end of Dragdo. Where he heals, but he's taken out as Bean secures himself the kill. And Fnatic, they are being the ones who are proactive in this game. They are the ones that want this reverse sweep.
Yeah, and Fnatic in a best of 5 in this league, been in a position like this where they go 0-2. And they go on to win the series, BTXL, Spring 2020. This time, not quite the grand finals, but looking to do it in what is effectively the semis. Let's go on to a potential rematch against Trick, who I'm sure they'll be feeling like they could have beaten. Game's not quite there yet, but Fnatic Rising definitely on the right tracks.
So what does it for Singularity need to do? Let's talk their win conditions, because I feel Fnatic, it's just more of the same. Be proactive. Catch Singularity, who are honestly kind of sleeping right now. What does Singularity need to do? Well, they need to set the alarm clock, first of all, wake up. And then where do they go?
I mean, for me, it's about Weasel, right? You know, you're on the Fiora pick, you got this lead, you dove Pride, you denied him a lot of resources. Yes, Pride's kind of back in the game now. But I think if you put Weasel on the side lane, whilst there's no neutral to actually fight over, go and give him shadowing. Go and actually dive on his side of the map. As long as you don't commit too many resources that Fnatic Rising actually pick something major up, it's totally fine. The window, though, however, might be closed. It's definitely closing, but I don't know if it's entirely closed right now because the Baron's going to be up. So it makes making, you know, side lane plays a lot riskier. I will say, I think Fnatic's Baron takedown in this game, it might not be the fastest. I think Ezreal, one of the champions that's not, you know, the AD carries that doesn't have like the craziest Baron takedown, and in general, I think Fnatic's composition when it comes to neutral damage is a little bit low. So they might have a little more time in that regard, SNG, but I think playing through Weasel or Fury, Fury's really strong in his own right as well. Pick on the side lane, you've got 2 melee side laners with this Sejuani and a Braum. Try and go for it. I mean, you can wait for the power spikes as well, try and fight 5v5, but right now you're just falling slowly and slowly behind. I don't think SNG are going to be at item spikes that they're going to be comfortable at by the time this dragon spawns in about a minute and 15 seconds.
Fury's pretty farmed, actually. He's quite close to 10 CS per minute. Not quite on that, just off it, but QSS now picked up. So is using some of the gold that he's able to accrue for himself to kind of deal with Maxi on this Skarner. No QSS onto Dragdar. I think he's hoping that Prosper is going to be a strong enough peel tool and really, really wants to hit that second item, because Bean's now got that mirror mana. It's fully stacked up. Singularity, what can they do? They're going to get a shot blast by Pride.
Now, I think Bean is like the member right now that's online. Dior, he's not going to change too much as a champion from now on. He's definitely going to be strong at this fight in particular. Eating a lot of poke SNG. Weasel?
Yeah, stepping up. They get themselves the ulti. There's the shift. There's the pickup.
All right.
There's Weasel getting the kill onto Rux. They've already lost their support. Deja joins up with the rest of the team, goes to the Everfrost, and Fury just dashes back out to safety. They've got the Honey Fruit to keep the carry sustained up as Deja's trying to find an opening, trying to find an opportunity, but the Permafrost will lock him in place. He goes in for a stopwatch. Maxi trying to find the opportunity to rejoin himself. And
Fury
steal away the Glacial Prison, but Deja going solo. The pop will be enough to secure it. Singularity's health bars are just painfully low, and Fnatic are going to punish. They will take out 4.
That's going to be Ocean Soul, Jake. I don't think Fury's going to be able to do much about this at all. And I mean, Bean starts off the play, getting caught out by the Glacial Prison, but it just doesn't matter because the follow-up isn't quite there to burst him down. And even though SNG do find a member at the start of the fight, they just stick around too long. They all buy so much time with the stopwatch as well. They can't burn him down. You can see Bean, you know, stunned up, and then eventually it's Rux that goes down. Take a look at the rest of SNG because I don't know what he does here. I don't get this because you're going to see he just kind of walks in front of everybody. A lot of the poke comes in from Bean as well. You can see the health bars already starting to be bled. Bean, I mean, Dior, I don't know. He's just 4D chess, sees into the future. Stopwatches in front of everybody, buys a lot of time. Glacial Prison backwards. Not really able to help out much of SNG here, and too much damage just gets returned by Bean.
Kind of feels like this series started with a bang, and Singularity might just go out on a whimper at this rate. It is kind of sad to see how well they played those first 2 games, but they are just struggling to find an opening in these games. And Dragdar, who I honestly think was the MVP for the first 2 games for Singularity, it just feels like they've kind of forgotten about how well he can play in these team fights if built space. As Deja going to find himself a pretty good fight over Dragdar. They're looking to bring people in. Teleports go down. Nulti Franz the ultimate onto Rux. There's the true shot. Fury teleports into zone. Misses out on that Shuriken flip, and he just loses his entire health bar, so he's going to have to go reset.
Yeah, but I just don't quite understand the thought process for SNG right now. It kind of feels like to me they're sort of just walking around the map. I think for Fnatic, however, a lot more intent in their movement on the map right now. Whenever they've gone to a place, it feels like they've gone there for a purpose. And I can't quite say the same about Team Singularity in this game 5. Setting up shop in the bottom side of all this poke. SNG don't have the greatest wave clear either. Oh. Impale almost came through, but the blast will stop that. And Dior almost takes down the mid-tier too. SNG, I mean, they have to find something. As soon as Noise Ultimate comes back up, they just need time right now, but they're just running out of it so quickly. And again, I feel like, you know, that window for propelling Fiora even further ahead, I think it's closed. I think Fnatic are playing in a way where it's just too much denial.
Yeah.
From that play style that SNG could have played into 10 minutes ago.
And this is Fnatic basically playing what Singularity wanted to play in game 3. But this time, they didn't get punished early. They didn't just sit back on their laurels. They hit those 2 item spikes, and they're now in a position where the poke hurts. The poke really hurts, and Singularity never got to this point for their poke comp. I think the jungle pick of the Skarner definitely much better than something like the Rumble, which is what they picked up in that last game. Obviously, severely lacking in the AP damage outside of just the Silas. So if he's taken out, it's, you know, it's all AD from that point onwards. But I think Fnatic have honestly got themselves a really nice comp, and they were able to execute on it well early and buy the space for Bean and Pride to hit those 2 items, which, you know, they're now on 2.5 items. We're only 25 minutes in, and they're closing in on those 3rd items, while Dragdar only just finished up that Phantom Dance on the Tristana. So sure, there is scaling. You've got Wazor on the Fiora. That's going to be a real problem if he's able to get to kind of 3 to 4 items. Same for Dragdar on this Tristana. But I don't know if they're going to be able to get there when you've got Elder spawning up in 2 minutes time. Baron is alive, and like you said, Fnatic don't have particularly the fastest Baron in the world, as Maxi does find Fury. Fury has himself a QSF.
Oh,
he needs to use it, but he used it too early. Dashes away to safety. They use the exhaust. Glacial Prison doesn't hit anybody. And Fury just a little bit too trigger happy with that QSS.
Yeah, uses it for the stun. Maybe he thought it was the suppress. I don't know. Either way, gets suppressed after the stun. I mean, Fury dead. Fnatic, I mean, they don't have to do anything too risky, like turn away to the Baron, but certainly go set up shop wherever they like, get a reset. It's just another free window. Yes, Rux, we saw that. He didn't make it over the wall. That's fine. Did Ezreal also not make it over the wall? That's funny. All right, well, Fnatic, they're online. I mean, look at their inventories. I don't think I really have to say much more than that. Double Muramana. The Chempunk Chainsword? Is that how you say it?
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one. So Anihil online for Wazor and Fury respectively. A bunch of other Anihil items across the board. Maxi, Randuin's, Chemtank, very, very strong. And on the opposite side, SNG, you know, they've got things to show up to this fight with, but it's just, I don't think it's enough. Unless they can find a great team fight where, you know, the stars kind of align for them, and Bean maybe makes a misstep, and then all of a sudden the constant DPS isn't there, and it's just Pride and it's just the Yor to have to deal with. Fnatic primed and ready to make this reverse sweep happen, and I think deservedly so by this performance in Game 5. So
They are
Maxi,
looking for Maxi. He's been locked down. There's so much AoE CC. Jor's trying to jump in, but that is going to be the end of Wazor. Pride takes him down as he goes to the skies. Rux lands a Shuriken flip, and now Prospec's on the wrong side of the map. Same for Fury. They're looking for some kind of a hero play, but Dragdar's locked down. Maxi takes him out, and Fury flips away to safety, but the teleport into the top side. Elder is up and available. And Singularity they look for a pick and they lose a team fight for it.
Okay, Fnatic, make your mind up. They do go for the pick, SNG. Unfortunately, it turns on them. 4 members die. Fury, the only one left to tell the tale. Fnatic Rising, they're going to pick up this Elder. They should open up the base. Potentially not the inhibitor, though. Fury, I don't think he's going to be able to save that one in time. They can just go over to the Baron as well. It's going to be double mega buffs on top of them. I think SNG, they had a window. They had a relatively clear condition, at least to me, as from an outside perspective, to win this game. And I think it's close. I think it might have just gone too far away from them now. Maxi doesn't get stunned out by the concussive blows. Isn't chain CC'd either by the ultimate of Noe. And because of that, Fnatic able to come and help their jungler, able to come and turn this team fight around. And it might have just enabled them to turn the series around as well.
I mean, it starts with what did look like they found a pick. It looked like they finally found something, but Fnatic are just so quick to react and respond, and it feels like there's a bit of a communication difference right now between the teams. It feels like Fnatic, all one well-oiled machine, while Singularity, the calls are scattered, they're everywhere, and they'll be well aware that this Baron's going on, but they are moving into a team with a 10k gold lead and Elder Dragon. They're just going to have to give this up. Wazor quite happily shoves in a wave in the top side, in the bot side, sorry, but he may stick around. He's got a fairly large wave to work with, but I think the base is under fire, under threat. But I just don't know if they can defend. I don't think there's an opportunity to defend.
Fnatic could end on this push.
If you don't defend, you just lose the game.
Fnatic could end on this push if they really wanted to. In my opinion, Baron, Elder, 10,000 plus gold lead. More than able to, but it looks like they're just going to play it safe. Go lane by lane here as Wazor is going to find Dior on the bottom side, and that could just signal him to go reset, and Dior's got teleport. In fact, Wazor's just going to teleport back to base.
I think he was too worried about getting caught out, because he knew if he died, that would be game. Dragdar got an okay amount of wave clear, but it is still Baron, remember, so they got something to work with him. Teleport comes in. This is going to be the closing moments unless Singularity can find an ace. It has to be an ace. Otherwise, this is the game. Maxi threatening Fury. That QSS will be back up off cooldown. But you got to watch for these shot blasts. because if they land onto Dragdar, that's going to be game. Bean caught
Bean.
that. They look to jump in onto him. He's knocked up, he's
Bean.
knocked up, he's CC'd, he's stopwatches. Dragdar remains untouched for the moment, but Pride is on a killing spree. He's taking down Waynesor. He's looking for the double kill. The true shot barrage comes in. He gets buster shot underneath the tower. Prosper not going to get knocked
Look
up.
at the
He's
base.
able to jump away. Dragdar continues to fire away, but the Nexus will be the focus. The Nexus will be the target. Fnatic rising, find themselves the reverse sweep, and they qualify for the European Masters, and they qualify for the finals.
Fnatic Rising, they looked out of it after game 2, but they come back and they come back with a loud bang. SNG, you have to be left wondering, what more could you have done in that series? But for Fnatic Rising, a really, really strong and dominant performance on the back end of that series. And I think rightfully so, going towards the finals, going to EUM, definitely questions to be asked. But at the end of the day, very, very happy with their performance overall. I think it's no small task coming back from a 0-2 in a series, but they make it almost look kind of easy, especially after the game 4 shenanigans at the start of that one too.
It's genuinely bizarre how Fnatic looked like they were just going to lose that series. They look like they looked so lost in the first 2 games, and then it was like, oh yeah, if we hit the Nexus, we win. Oh, it's that simple. and then they literally, that was, honestly, it just looked like something clicked in them. And then for the last 3 games, they just played amazing League of Legends, and the complete opposite happened to Singularity. It was like they just forgot how they'd won the first 2 games and never drafted towards that again. Honestly, fantastic reverse sweep there from Fnatic, and a much needed victory for them for the sake of their pride. That does mean that they are through to the European Masters, and we'll see whether or not they make play-ins or playoffs. That'll be pending on the grand finals. But for now, to break down today's series, we're going to pass it over to our analyst desk to talk more about this game and that series. So over to you, X-Scoundrel.